And here we are for the Talkie for the second week of Silent Hill 3 playthrough. I am Peter.
This is Michaela.
And I'm Scott.
Scott's the player. Me and Michaela are the commentators. So, we'll ask, as we always do at the beginning, how was that?
Terrifying most of the way through. The game never lets up, does it?
It doesn't, no. So you find this one scarier?
Yeah, a lot more than the previous two. The music contributes to that a lot, I think.
The music is certainly harsher and louder.
Very, very industrial and oppressive.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's a little bit of a throwback once again to Silent Hill 1. Because Silent Hill 1's soundtrack, you can buy the soundtrack for Silent Hill 1. And it's different from all the other soundtracks. So all the other soundtracks have song stuff and
It has vocal parts.
Yeah, and some melody stuff. And Silent Hill 1 is 46 tracks of industrial noise, and then one or two other tracks.
It's a little bit more well placed this time, though, because the industrial oppressive stuff comes in sort of industrial areas, like that mechanical place that was beneath the subway, as opposed to in a hospital.
Yeah.
It doesn't make a lot of sense.
The music seems to fit well. And then you have the other sounds as well, where you occasionally just have a one-off one when it's quiet.
Oh, those are the worst.
Yeah.
And also, to be fair, Silent Hill 3 goes for being scary, whereas Silent Hill 2 doesn't. It kind of goes for being lonely.
Yeah,
and
melancholy.
Forlorn and sad and all of those other things. So it's not quite the same type of horror. It changes again once we get to Silent Hill 4. Silent Hill 4 is incredibly creepy all the time. And it changes mood again, but I think that's the great thing about Silent Hill is that it does that. Much less of a one-trick pony. So let's talk location, subway. So the subway, what did you think of the subway? Your general impression of it?
Well, as you said, Silent Hill 2 made you feel lonely. That place made you feel a little lonely as well. It was gigantic, and there was no one there.
Yeah, where there's usually, whenever you're at a train station or anything like that, there's people.
Well, there was someone there that pushed you onto the train track.
But was there? Was it a person?
I think, do ghosts count as people?
I suppose, yes, that's what I was getting at, 'cause it has that magazine where it's sort of going, it doesn't have form anymore, it just sort of remembers how it died.
And what did you think of the music, or rather the lack of music down there, the complete silence?
Nothing is scarier. The fact that there was nothing going on made me paranoid, like there might be something coming, like a jump scare, but there never was, and this game doesn't really tend to do that. But I'm always on the lookout for one just in case it decides to throw one at you.
On edge all the time.
Yeah.
Do you think that's a great sort of thing to go for as well, the setting someone up for something horrible to happen because it's so quiet, but it doesn't. It's not going to play into
It does
that.
sometimes.
Yeah.
We'll see.
In this instance, it hasn't.
The train ride from hell.
The exceptionally long train ride, I didn't think it was that long.
Yeah, I mean, because subway trains can take quite a while to get from one station to the other, but it was
more the length of the car. I didn't think it was quite that long.
That's deliberate. It's one of the things we mentioned is if you go forward and then go back again, you're on the back of the train. You're always on the back of the train, aren't you, when you come out?
Yes,
It's
the train
playing with
is
you.
the length of your imaginations.
I didn't notice that.
No, because you only went back the first time.
Probably thinking, well, there's no point now. But yes, if you do try, then that happens. So, I just like the way the whole thing was set up. The way that some of the cars were sort of dark and flashing,
They were
and some
all
of the cars were
different.
brightly lit. One of the cars had a teeny little monster, and the next car had a big giant monster.
Which wouldn't die.
No, I meant the big, what do you call,
The
what you call them?
tadpole with legs.
They're
There
actually
was a
called
really
little
big
bodies,
one and then a little one. And then later on there was the cancer, I think it's called something.
which wouldn't die.
Which wouldn't die.
And cheated and hit you and went, what? You shot me, I didn't notice. Doesn't count. Invincibility field is what I meant.
I'd rather have one.
And that long screeching halt at the end.
That didn't really put me off. Sort of expecting something like that, so it sort of ran past me.
I just thought it oozed menace. So what did you think about the new monsters?
Some of them are a bit more deadly than the others. That big one's something to stay away from, I think. Especially when I ran into a room with that and about 3 other monsters later on, but we'll get to that part.
No, I wanted to talk about all the new monsters, like the ones that make the horrible sounds while they're spinning in the air. They've only gotten you once or twice.
Oh, I've encountered those ones before, I think.
Yes.
They don't seem to be that deadly, despite how horrifying they look. Because I can just run through them and they don't really seem to harm me that much.
Yeah, same as we were saying, the dogs as well, you seem to have realised a bit more. While they're annoying, they're not actually very harmful either.
No. Tried putting a few down, but I quickly ran out of bullets, so...
You should try using your melee weapons a bit more. You seem to equip it and then not really use it in the end.
Well, that was more a case of this corridor has 3 monsters in it, do I really want to fight them? No, let's just go.
I think it's one of those things where you could generally be assured there's nothing really in the corridors.
When you really want to fight a monster, if there's one in the room.
Had trouble finding maps.
Yeah, was it 2 for the entire game?
Yeah, we've missed... there's a map for the...
Because we had the subway one, but then we had sort of a transition area and the sewer area. Nothing.
And they do exist, I just think we didn't find them.
I'm sure I purely looked out on that transitional area.
No, I mean, you were pretty thorough. I think the only room we missed was the one with a map in it.
No.
I think, oddly enough. So, yeah, I'm not really sure what to call that area, sort of the grey corridor area, but I think one part of it has sort of a brick corridor. It was the wine bottle which had oil in it that was kerosene or something like that, I forget.
Wine bottle of kerosene.
The sewers themselves, did you notice the similarity to Silent Hill 1?
I did. Didn't know you could fall in the water, though.
Well, we found out the hard way.
Yeah. Couldn't do that in Silent Hill 1, I think. Casting my mind back.
No, you couldn't. You're stuck to the sort of the
You
walkways.
have to walk around.
Handy
That's
for
part
dodging
of it.
monsters.
Which is what we ended up doing by accident, I think, at one point, 'cause fell in the water.
None of those damn things on the ceiling as well.
I was going to say, in the sewers, I like that bit over the second walkway, where there was something in the water, and then afterwards there wasn't.
Tentacles.
It's
Yes.
very off-putting.
Oh, you mean under the bridge?
Under the walkway, yeah.
Yeah, it looked like some sort of mannequin.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what it was. It did look a bit like a person. Very nice.
Oh, we'll find out about that.
Oh, will we? Okay.
Oh, yes.
There's lots of those extra details and creepy bits.
Building site, when we first came across it, felt like a big change in pace.
It reminded me a little of Silent Hill 2 again because of that massive canvas over the area. Because that happened quite a bit in Silent Hill 2.
Yes, it was sort of over the
Lots
gaps
of the
between
doors and
streets,
bits and
maps.
places, yeah.
And what was interesting about it is that the building site didn't have any enemies in it,
No, you're right, it didn't, did it?
which is quite rare for Silent Hill, to be fair. Especially Silent Hill 3, which, like you said, just doesn't let up at all.
Guess that was one instance where it did. A very short instance.
And then we were into the sort of the business block, the block of, I suppose, different lets for different businesses. What did you think of that?
I quite like the design of the area, actually. Though I am happy that only 2 or 3 floors were accessible for it. Because it didn't really fancy trudging through 6 floors of it.
Although we do,
Oh.
sort of. It's just not in the... Because now where we left it was as it was just transitioning into the other world, so then we've got to do the extra bit of exploration. I mean, it's the staple of the series, isn't it, really?
Do I count the other world as a separate area?
Well, most people do, that's what I mean, yeah. There was a scene with the mannequin.
That was rather well done, I quite liked that one.
It was rather ruined because we were talking actually while you were playing about how it's much more difficult in the PC version. It's much easier for you to skip text accidentally because it skips it as you move the stick as well. Whereas on the PS2 it's much more, you get to read everything because you're saying things about the mannequin and you can catch it but only barely. And then of course it happens and then you hear the scream and the voice and yeah. So I thought that was really good.
Yes, it's I think earlier it mentioned sort of urban legends about alligators in sewers. It also kind of reminded me of that other common one you get in horror stories of people being encased as mannequins.
Yeah, there's a film called The Black Cat, which she mentions.
Yeah.
That was when the silencer, wasn't it?
Yeah, where you got the silencer with the legs in the wall.
Skipped that last bit of text a bit quickly so I couldn't read it.
It does do that. Luckily, you should be able to just pause the video.
The silencer itself, I don't think I'll be using it. As it says it weakens the gun, but I only ever pull the gun as a last resort anyway.
Yeah, that's the thing. Because, I mean, the assumption is that it makes the gun quieter, so other animals that are in the same place aren't attracted to you, but you're not really killing at them when they're sort of all together in a big place.
No, but you know what they say about assumptions.
Yes.
You'll be an ass and the ump will shun you.
What's an ump?
Something like that, anyway. So the allusions to Silent Hill 1, did you pick up on those quite a lot?
Mostly just with the sewer. The other world definitely was an allusion to Silent Hill 1 because it is an into. Didn't really pick them up as I was watching.
Well, there's the transition as well. It has the quote from Silent Hill 1. About the world becoming, it's being invaded by the other world.
Oh, right.
I think it's hard to remember that that's what it's
I
from.
don't remember the fine details of Silent Hill 1 at the minute.
Well, it would have helped if it was the console version, because the console version has the speech from the first game implanted into it. So if we were playing this on PS2, we would be able to hear the quote from Silent Hill 1. It would make it astonishingly obvious when you hear it in Harry Mason's voice. But we don't have it in the PC version. The PC version, presumably because of some licensing issue or some such, doesn't have the voices from the first game in it. It just has silence instead.
Probably didn't want to pay royalties.
But it's made by Konami, so
Yeah,
that's the thing.
it's
So it's
their
just the
own
PC
game. It's
version, so
never
maybe it was the port, and they sort of went, but it's an official port, so I'm not really sure why.
So it is a shame, but I think it's worth it for playing the version we're playing, because it's such a high-texture version. It's much better.
Oh, but they may not have wanted to pay the voice actors more. Because I think they'll be paid separately from...
Actually, there's an amusing discussion about that in the HD collection, but we'll possibly leave that for another time.
Okay.
So I think we'll see plenty more allusions to Silent Hill as we continue on, actually. Got anything to add, anyone? Who's going to yawn?
I was trying to do it silently.
Sirens going into the other world.
Isn't there? Yeah, I think it was to try and keep the series fresh, because, I mean, they've done that as they've gone along. Silent Hill 3 is a direct sequel to Silent Hill 1, and even then, it's still quite different from it. Like you say, no sirens.
And Silent Hill 1 lets up sometimes.
Yeah, and Silent Hill 2, of course, is completely different, as is Silent Hill 4, which is, once again, completely different. I mean, different style of gameplay, different style of horror, different style of everything. Still awesome, but, very different. So, are you looking forward to playing more Silent Hill 3?
Definitely. I just hope it becomes slightly less terrifying.
I'm sure it will. I mean, why would it get scarier? Right, we'll see you next time then.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.